Welcome to the Knowledge Gumbo podcast, where we mix together timeless wisdom and thought provoking stories using quotes, sayings, proverbs, and book passages filtered through the lives and experiences of Black women. I am your curious minded host, Alicia Thomas. Let's get into today's quote. Courage is the most important of all the virtues because without courage, you can't practice any other virtue consistently. Maya Angelou. I'm going to tell you right now, this is one of my favorite quotes by her, and probably will be sharing quite a few more quotes by her as we get into different episodes of Knowledge Gumbo. But I am a particular fan of her wisdom and the fact that she wrote down a lot of it, and so it lives in perpetuity past her death. As a teenager, though, she started making a mark because she was the first African-American female streetcar conductor in San Francisco, breaking barriers at 16 years old. Now that takes courage. But when we're talking about courage and thinking about courage, we need to realize that it serves as our foundation for practicing, as she says, the other virtues. Courage is the primary virtue in that it enables us to face fear, deal with difficulty, deal with pain, deal with danger, with a firmness, with a resolve, rather than running away, rather than hiding, rather than pretending that didn't exist or that didn't happen. At the essence, courage is not the absence of fear, but it's rather acting despite it, especially when you're going after something that you believe is right, that you know is necessary and needs to be done. It's all about undergirding truth and acting on it currently. Now, when I say virtues, there are a plethora of virtues, especially depending on what your faith is, but there are, some universal virtues that we all look at no matter our faith, like humility, patience, gratitude, forgiveness, compassion, integrity, perseverance, generosity, and kindness. That is just a few of the virtues that are all undergirded by courage. Because if you do not develop the virtue of courage and apply it consistently, you cannot be kind because you will let anger take over. You cannot be generous because you will be looking for people to give back that you've given to. You need consistent courage for integrity to work, to know that you're going to tell the truth, you're going to do the right things no matter what each time. And that takes courage because there's always pressure to compromise these virtues, to do something different. We have to look at it and understand that we might know the right thing to do, but we lack the intestinal fortitude to do it or to act on it. And we get that from developing our courage, because courage transforms us. It transforms our moral understanding into a moral action, because there's a difference between knowing something and acting upon that knowledge. It's like the difference between knowledge actually and wisdom. Knowledge is gaining that information, learning that information, but it is through doing and applying that knowledge that you become wise and you learn and you transform. But all of that is undergirded by courage, because you have to act, because it bridges the gap between knowing something and doing something. And that is so critical, because so many people know what the right thing is to do, but they don't have the courage to act on it. And in the same way, you don't want to get a mob mentality too of you just go along to get along. You have to have the courage and be willing to stand on your own in the face of adversity. And let me give you a couple examples of some courage that some Black women have been through. If we look at Maya Angelou herself, she was sexually assaulted as a child. And when she spoke the person's name and the person was severely hurt, I believe he was killed, she stopped talking. And a lot of people automatically look at it as a sad event, but it took courage to understand that her voice had power and that she had to be quiet and use it judiciously. That's one of the ways I look at her period of silence, not just as a thing of fear, but understanding that her voice carried weight. But in that time of silence, she did not waste away because it was during that time that she developed her memory, became extraordinary. She developed her love of literature. She learned to memorize poetry and classic works by, different authors like Shakespeare, Edgar Allan Poe, Paul Laurence Dunbar. So that time of quiet was like her being a butterfly in a cocoon. She was strengthening her wings so when she got her voice back and she started using it again, she was stronger and more beautiful. Another example is Fanny Richards. I'm from Detroit, so I've been learning or really working on learning about more people from Detroit, from the state of Michigan where I was born and raised. And she was the first Black school teacher in Detroit. She was also the first teacher to bring the concept of kindergarten education to Michigan. And she did that because she had the courage to go over to Germany where they were developing the curriculum or just the thought process of having a kindergarten class. That took great courage to leave the U.S., to go to Germany, to study this, and then to bring it back home and share it with the children of her state. And at this time, it was right around the breaking down of segregation. And once it became illegal, she then even had more courage to teach at the newly formed integrated school, Everett Elementary, where she stayed for 44 years. So her whole life was a testament to little bouts of undergirded courage that allow her to be an excellent educator. And the final example I want to kind of throw out there for you to consider, to think about, is Janet Collins. She was one of the first prima Black ballerinas, way before Misty Copeland. At the age of 15, she prepared an audition to join this ballet company, and they accepted her, but then they told her that they would have to create specific roles for her, or she would either have to dance with white face paint on. And that so affronted her integrity of who she was that she, at a time that no Black ballerinas were getting these opportunities, she had the courage to turn it down. And she used that as fuel to become a even better dancer so that the next time she got her opportunity, she wanted them to know that they couldn't say no to her because her talent was so good, so crisp, and so sharp that they had to hire her. These are some amazing stories, and there's plenty of others of where people had to choose to be courageous in order to enact other virtues and to do other things that they knew was right. So let's talk about this quote one more time. Courage is the most important of all the virtues because without courage, you can't practice any other virtue consistently. Time for the challenge. Who is someone in your life that inspires you with their courage? Reach out to them this week and let them know how much they mean to you. Had a lot of deaths of friends and family lately, and it's like, make the time to reach out to people and tell them what they mean to you. Give them their flowers while they're alive. Take that time to tell a person thank you. Take that time to tell someone who probably doesn't think of themselves as being courageous, but they really are. Help them to see that they are enough and that the fact that they were here, that they were courageous, inspired you, that they touched someone's life, because everybody has the capacity and potential to touch someone and make a difference. It doesn't have to be major. It could be something small, or it could be life transforming. But sometimes people don't see it because they're going about their business and doing things that they think are right, and they're engaging that courage in order to live their life of the other virtues consistently, and they don't realize that they've made a greater impact on your life. So do yourself a favor, do them a favor, contact them, tell them thank you, tell them they are valuable, precious, and they have done good in this world. Thank you for listening and watching. As I said before, this is a space where hopefully we share a little knowledge, have a little meaningful conversation, on history, culture, and our life lessons. If you like this kind of information, feel free to check out the Knowledge Gumbo newsletter that we have for extra serving of history and knowledge at aliciatsays.com. Remember, you are always welcome to pull up a chair. There's always room at the table. The gumbo is hot and made with love. And we'll see you next week.
Gather round, y'all. It's time to groove.